Hi class, this is the second and last PowerPoint audio for LP2. There's only two of them. This one talks about e-commerce marketing and advertising concepts. I think the most fun part of e-commerce. But before we get started on that, this is the second question for your seminar assessment. So visit your or someone else's, if you can, Facebook page and examine the ad shown in the right margin. What is being advertised? How do you believe it's relevant to your or their interests or online behavior? You can also search on a retail product on Google several times and related products, and visit Yahoo or another popular site to see if your past behavior is helping advertisers track you. What are the tools they employ to track you? That's spiders and that sort of thing. Which do you think they might be using in this particular case? So that's the next question that I want you to address in what you'll hand in at the end of this LP for your assessment. I think the two questions that are posed do a good job of covering a lot of different aspects of each chapter. Now, one of the things I'm going to do this time to see how it works out is to skate through these slides pretty quickly, because I'm having problems getting them down to a time limit, which is not to exceed 20 minutes, that YouTube will accept. So rather than me spend a lot of time on lecture, I'm going to try something different this time. The last slide in this presentation has about 5 or 6 different videos, and I think collectively they add up to about what I'd like each of these to be, maybe for an entire LP, probably an hour, I'm told. So I think the last one I did was 15 minutes, so I would hope with one additional chapter that we'd have 30 or 40 minutes of lecture. But if I exceed 20 minutes, I can't load it onto YouTube. So I'm just going to give you some, recommend some videos on topics that are germane to this particular chapter that I think you'll like, actually, and will help you with the assignments as I've read them for this particular LP. So one of the things that the internet is just really good for from a marketing standpoint is to help people with their searches. This has, and from a marketing standpoint, post-purchase satisfaction. And this has extreme relevance to the 5 stages of the consumer decision process, which is awareness of needs, search for information, evaluation of alternatives, actual purchase decision, and post-purchase contact with the firm. And so the internet is wonderful for all 5 of these. What they've really changed are steps 2 and 3 and 5, and in some cases the actual purchase, and in some cases, and we've talked about that, where the product is actually digitized, it can be delivered. So it's really a multi-channel tool. In the case of, excuse me, in the case of the decision-making process, you've got, I think, some DTs that are discussion threads that are on this. And this is a wonderful figure to keep in mind in analyzing how the internet has affected the 5 stages in your dealing with those answers. So you might pay particular attention to figure 2. Again, the internet has some real strengths over traditional marketing. You can make it far more personalized, participatory. We've talked about this, more peer-to-peer and more communal. That's done through social networking, emails, and all the things that can constantly continue to morph within the discipline. Now, in our marketing plan now, once upon a time the marketing plan was just newspapers, magazines, radio, TV, so on and so forth. Now we simply call that offline marketing, and it collectively includes all those things. The web, as you well know, is morphed into numerous different tools that a marketer has available to them, including the website itself, traditional online marketing tools like email and such, and affiliate marketing, social marketing, a new phenomenon, and even newer phenomena with cell phones, the use of mobile marketing. And so for an an integrated marketing communication, or an IMC they're called, you have all these tools available. And the challenge, of course, for an e-business is how to collectively form those into an amalgam that makes sense for the particular business based on the nature of the business as well as the budget that they have on hand. So as far as its capability as an advertising tool, there are different ways that you as an advertiser, as a business that wants to advertise, a number of different models to pay. Those are revenue models for whomever has handled the advertising for you. You can trade services. You can pay. A common way is to pay per 1,000 clicks, per click, per action, which would be how many sales you actually made. Hybrid of all of that, or some kind of sponsorship. What's wonderful again about the internet is you can effectively measure which one of these tools is most effective in achieving whatever your objectives are in your plan. Email in particular is a commonly used marketing tool. I included a really interesting video, at least I hope if you can get past the person that's the topic of the email campaign, I don't know what your politics are, but it's a really, really good video around how to test emails, and it makes the point, there's two of them actually, they make the point that what you say in the email, how it's constructed, colors that you use, all these things can be important in the responses that you get. So it's really, I think, quite interesting, and hopefully they give you ideas to the assignments that you've been given in the LP and the discussion threads that relate to email. Social marketing, there's a video about what social marketing is, and I think it implies how significant, as a consequence, it must be to marketers. So social marketing, of course, is developing very quickly. The Facebook model, really, they don't sell advertising. They sell information that they sell access to their site, and then analytical firms that work for advertisers who want to target certain firms will pay to have access to the data, analyze it, and then turn around to the marketing companies and tell them what they think they should do, who the people are on Facebook that would most likely want to use or be interested in their particular tools. And it's turned out to be an extremely effective mechanism to get in front of people and be able to go back to that personalization and customization element that we talked before. Mobile marketing, we've mentioned before, is quickly growing, 35% of online marketing at this point, growing rapidly. I did mention that I think 60%, something like that, of all emails are spam. So it's all about mass, just like with mobile marketing. It's all about mass, getting the message in front of as many as you can. And even if you get a small response, like 1 to 2%, that's huge given the number of messages that you can get in front of people. More and more people are gravitating away from typical traditional television and radio consumption to media, digital media consumption for music, for news, for all kinds of things, and that number will only increase as time goes on. The three main strategies that you can look at then to focus on when you're doing an online strategy would be customer retention strategies. There are a number of firms like Salesforce.com that help in this regard. Their stock symbol actually is CRM, like customer relationship management. Different pricing strategies that you can have online versus in store, and then long tail marketing. These pricing strategies, I think I mentioned on another video that when banks started allowed people to pay for bills online in the mid-90s, they charged $5, as I recall, because I did it per transaction. Now, of course, it's free because they've covered all the sunk costs of setting up that capability, and it's far, far cheaper, almost zero cost at this point, of allowing a customer to pay for a transaction online, then them to either mail it and then they have to process the check, or that person coming in and dealing with the teller. What is long tail? It's worth a mention. There was a book written a few years ago by a fellow named Chris Anderson. I've put the Amazon URL there if you're not familiar with it and want to see it. But it really explains the phenomena that Amazon in effect started. It's a good read, actually. Something to note. One of the great things about the web is the ability to track an individual customer's traffic on the web. I think I mentioned earlier that every visit to every site anybody's ever made is saved on a server by Google if you've used Google. And that information is what they use to construct a profile of you, and they probably know some things about you that you don't want them to know, quite frankly, but they use that. This would help you with one of your discussion questions, including the one that I posed at the very beginning for the seminar assessment. Different types of tracking files. So I'll leave that to you to look at. Never start there's an old saying, I think it was by Michael Porter, if not Jack Welch. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And so I'm a real believer in that if you're going to have a business plan, you want to have metrics. You want to know what your objectives are, be very clear about them, and then secondly, have metrics to measure them. And the metrics have to be appropriate to the objective. So here are simply over the next couple of slides a number of different metrics for website metrics, online ad metrics, social marketing metrics, and email metrics to consider. Finally, here's my last slide. This is the first one is about a 7-minute audio that I taped for a similar topic in another class for another school, and it really deals with the web's value as an e-marketing tool. Some of it's redundant from what you've heard, some of it might be new. Again, 7 minutes worth a listen maybe. Why the web internet is important to business. This is a little just several minute video of images and figures that talks about why the internet is so important. The third one is Obama's email campaign, as far as how they tested different ways of saying hello, different greetings, and the differences those nuances made in how much money from the focus groups that they targeted. The metric for the difference in the two was the actual dollars donated between groups, and it's really very interesting. A/B testing is a method of testing emails, and it tests one variable at a time. So if you're testing the color of the background, well, you could send out a green background, a blue background, an orange background to 3 different groups. It's one variable, but 3 different colors, and test the response based on something like that or the citation. So A/B testing is a good thing to know about. What is social media? Why is it important? And what is the Internet of Things? That's a good one just to explain. I've mentioned it in the past. I don't think I gave you a referral, but it's the next big thing on the Internet, and it's going to be huge for businesses. So those are all worth a listen. I don't think any of them exceed 7 minutes, which is the first one on the list. So except maybe the Obama one, it might be a little bit longer than that, but none of them are very long, and collectively I think they make for a decent lecture. So enjoy.